Clearing avoidant attachment style. Avoidant or dismissive attachment is a form of insecure attachment style. Also known as bonding wounds, in object relations and attachment theory, they are thought to result from disruptions in early attachment experiences, primarily impacting a child's development during the crucial early years, from infancy to around the age of 3. Later influencing the quality of our adult relationships, avoidant attachment style is often characterized by a preference for independence and a discomfort with emotional intimacy, leading to difficulties in forming and maintaining close relationships. Individuals with this attachment style may struggle to trust others and often prioritize autonomy over seeking emotional support from others. While the trigger points will often be more pronounced for twin flames, in karmic and soulmate relationships, avoidant attachment style may also play out as the runner in a runner-chaser or distancer-pursuer dynamic. In terms of energy physics, the negative polarity or avoidant bonder pulls in reaction to the anxious bonder's energetic push energy, which results in polarization, with the avoidant bonder ghosting, blocking, or running. If repeated, the pattern may precipitate in vicious back and forth, in and out cycles. At best, these cycles are asymptotic or repellent because of the energy. At worst, they may devolve into stonewalling, self-sabotage, or even betrayal. When this happens, it's important to recognize that the spiritual lesson behind the breakup or separation is healing. To heal a relationship, interestingly, Law of Attraction guru Esther Hicks has emphasized, you're not really letting go of the person. What you're letting go of is the resistance attached to the person. Moreover, the anxious bonder is ultimately teaching the avoidant bonder the lesson of unconditional love and trust, which helps foster secure attachment. When we can surrender and trust, it neutralizes the karma, in turn creating a 0 point, which allows the runner to feel safe enough to return. With that said, it's also important to understand that unconditional love is not synonymous with having no boundaries. Indeed, the runner's return is a byproduct of the anxious bonder's healthy soul alignment, rather than a result of having no needs. Spiritual response therapy is a very good system for clearing insecure attachment styles. For more information about how to be trained in SRT, see spiritualresponse.org. Transforming Blockages is another useful multidimensional system for healing bonding wounds. For more information, please see Jill and Remi's webinar series at Twin Flame Healers and QuantumUnion.com. And as always, please remember to like and share this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. I appreciate the energy exchange. Hello, this is the Lady of Shalott, and welcome to this clearing on avoidant, sometimes known as dismissive attachment style. So I've already assembled a group body and I have prepped it to work off camera as usual. And by group body, I'm defining that as all listeners to this recording, now and in the future, the lineages you're connected to. So these may be biological lineages with whom you share DNA, but also non-biological lineages, cultural, symbolic, religious, non-religious lineages you're connected to. I've also included your immediate soul group, extended soul group, monadic level, and all of our high self teams committees. So let's get into the work. Spirit, what is the positive, negative number this group body is holding on avoidant attachment? And we're getting 30% positive and 100% negative. So somewhat more discordant, this one, than the anxious attachment video, which is the companion clearing to this one. What is the level of soul consciousness And it is sitting right at incarnational level, which is at the very bottom of chart 3, which also isn't surprising. Since insecure attachment styles are not distinct categories, but rather points along a spectrum or continuum, one category is not thought to be more or less traumatized than the other. With that said, statistically, research suggests avoidant attachment style is thought to be more common than anxious preoccupied. Some studies also suggest a strong link between avoidant attachment and CPTSD, or complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Finally, the other reason why this isn't surprising is that avoidants are more prone towards forming trauma bonds than anxious preoccupied. In fact, such an unhealthy dysfunctional dynamic can be so toxic it really deserves a separate clearing in its own right even. Okay, so let's go ahead and rebalance that positive negative number from 30% positive, 100% negative to 100% positive, 0% negative, from that of incarnational level all the way up to radiant love new paradigm. And so I'm dowsing on this, and you may hear my pendulum clicking in the background. And as usual, I'm going to lay in some clearing statements to add specificity. It's not important that you know what all these mean. Just let them wash over you. Just receive. Clear through all levels, layers, depths of chart 3. All elevations, vibrations, all 7 or more realities from inception to present time and into the future. Clear all duplicates, copies, backups, rebuilding, replication programs, clear mirror images and melt the mirrors. Clear all the programs that may trigger these. Clear anything hidden, buried, covered up, lied about, denied, cursed, or avoided. Body memory, memory impingements, emotional impingements even. Anything else the soul may be hiding, please clear this in 0 time. Again, for all listeners, now and in the future. Clear the cellular level, DNA, clan and the ancestors, the lineages they're connected to, please. Clear for the soul group, extended soul group, monadic level, all of our high self teams, committees, and any combination, any permutation within this group body where there's something to be worked with, resolved, released, vis-a-vis avoidant attachment style, please. If separation is running as a master program, let's ask to burn the branches, the seeds, the roots. If it's running as a soul program, let's ask to clear rejection. Burn the branches, the seeds, the roots. If it's running as a soul program, again, let's ask to clear escapism. Burn the branches, the seeds, the roots. If it's running as a soul program, let's ask to clear. And stinginess. That would be in an emotional sense. Burn the branches, the seeds, the roots. If it's running as a soul program, let's ask to clear. Although that's not to say an avoidant couldn't also have a heart wall that would in turn create financial scarcity. Stockpiling resources, for example. Okay, and we're stopping. Okay, good. So where shall we start, please? Lords of Karma, Archangel Michael, Infinite Council to help orchestrate, God team to help orchestrate. And it looks like we're starting on soul energy programming again. So that, I believe that's where we started the clearing on anxious attachment as well. That's interesting. There's some symmetry there. What comes through in this chart this time? Dysfunction of the mind. Okay. What else? Cleanse the soul of evil. Anything else? No? Okay, let's clear both of those. I'm just going to set up the clearing and then I will define them from Detzler's soul recreation. Clear through all levels, layers, depths of chart 3, all elevations, vibrations, all 7 or more realities, from inception to present time and into the future of all listeners. Now and in the future, clear the cellular level, DNA, clan and the ancestors. Clear for the soul group, extended soul group, monadic level, all of our high self teams, committees. Okay, so dysfunction of the mind. Each soul is created in and of the consciousness of first cause, spirit, and held within the infinite mind of spirit. The Hebrew word Jehovah means he who is, who was, who will be manifest, the self-existent one. We exist because we are part of the manifestation of the one presence, power, and consciousness of the universe. Jehovah can be said to mean he who extends himself, he who becomes himself as a living soul. Since Jehovah or spirit is all there is, we are quite literally an extension of that one consciousness working through individuated expressions of spirit. However, if spirit or Jehovah extended and duplicated itself, there would still only be spirit. And since spirit is perfect, there would only be a perfect duplicate of perfection. Therefore, programming was introduced into all living souls that would bring forth an imperfect or flawed creature through dysfunction of the mind. You might say spirit created a diamond in the rough so that it could be polished over time. Over eons of time, the diamond, by contact with many levels of consciousness and expression through the incarnational and other processes, would be self-polishing and self-learning and would grow into the brilliance of spirit's purity and beauty. And so there's a way in which to be an avoidant is a dysfunction of the mind. Why would we want to avoid spirit, right? In an ultimate cosmic sense, if spirit is one, what would be the benefit of putting off that union? Now, the other program, Cleanse the Soul of Evil. Now, of course, these two could be connected. So perhaps if the soul feels evil, then it already feels other than one with spirit. If the soul identifies as being evil, then it may feel safer in separation from one. Is how that's coming through. Okay, so let's read more about that. And Detzler also notes that it's not just this program that we're clearing here isn't just cleansing the soul of evil, it is also cleansing the soul of karmic penalty, which is interesting, or we can think of that as sin in Christian sense. The other program that appears on chart 11 has two aspects. The first program aspect that is vital to a complete clearing is Cleanse the Soul of Evil program, right? When the soul partakes of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, it believes that the soul is filled with evil. This sets up another belief that there is an unavoidable karmic penalty that will cause the soul to experience continuing pain, trouble, and sorrow for as long as it exists through space and time. Every incarnated soul has these programs, so make sure you ask that they be cleared. Okay. So we don't necessarily need, at a certain point, we don't necessarily need to continue to learn lessons through pain and suffering. And that can also be running as a vow. So if it's also appropriate to revoke, rescind, release any related vows of suffering, vows of separation, loneliness, or sacrifice, or just karmic vows in a more general sense, let's ask that that be done too. And when we do vow release in SRT, there's a special release statement we use. There's different ways of releasing vows. For example, in Transforming Blockages, I do a karma clearing ceremony for vow release. So if we're brought to the vow chart formally, then I will do that as well. To go back to Detzler's definition, the other connection I'm making with this program is, if the soul is evil, then it believes that the karmic penalty is unavoidable. Therefore, the avoidant bonder may be trying to avoid the unavoidable, i.e., the karmic penalty. Indeed, the avoidance itself may be a way not only of protecting the soul, but also of protecting others with whom the avoidant is in relationship with, such as the anxious bonder, from the evil itself, which is interesting. In fact, go back to the earlier program we cleared on this chart, it's an interesting dysfunction of the mind, isn't it? Okay, so where to next, please? Okay, let's clear the looping. Now, that has come up, I think, in one of the AM or PM clearings before. It doesn't surprise me that it's coming up now because we cleared dysfunction of the mind before. So looping can be a dysfunction of the mind. And what this indicates is overthinking can be associated with avoidant attachments, often to avoid difficult emotions or to avoid intimacy. An avoidant might overthink things. So that might be a coping response. But we can also conceptualize this regardless of whether you identify as an avoidant or an avoidant bonder. You can conceptualize this as parts of yourself that may escape difficult emotions by overthinking, or may avoid others by overthinking. May avoid having to make a decision by overthinking, even. Okay, so again, clear through all levels, layers, depths of chart 3, all elevations, vibrations, all 7 or more realities of all listeners now and in the future. Clear the cellular level, the DNA, clan, and the ancestors. Clear for the soul group, extended soul group, monadic level, all of their high self teams, committees. And we're stopping. Okay, where to next, please? Okay, 21 final items, this one universe. And what comes up on this chart in connection to avoidant attachment, please, Spirit. We're clearing the all category. What else? Open to receive the greater good. There could be blocks. Yeah, certainly. If we identify as an avoidant bonder, then we might be running blocks to receiving. And I mean, this could also be creating abundance blocks. I mean, that came through earlier. I was guided to clear emotional stinginess as a master program. While the root cause may be a scarcity mindset, it may also compel someone to do the opposite, to save rather than give or spend, for example, or to hold off, hold back, hold on, including to the past. Okay, let's get those programs cleared. All levels, layers, depths of chart 3. All elevations, vibrations, all 7 or more realities from inception to present time and into the future of all listeners now and in the future. Clear the cellular level, the DNA, clan and the ancestors. Clear for the soul group, extended soul group, monadic level, all of our high self teams, committees. And I'm just looking up what Dutzler has to say about both of these now. The all category. I was working with another set of individual items that high self would not put on the checklist. So I asked if we could call it the all category and have all the items cleared without having to ask individually, and they agreed. Okay, so we don't need to know what that is. Just think of it as a catch-all. It could be related to blocks to receiving the greater good, but it may be something else. In fact, as I say that, I notice there is another category called something else. So if in fact we're also guided to clear something else, let me define that first. When high self indicated there was another program that was not already on the charts, I asked if we could put it on the checklist again, or the all category again. They said no, but gave me permission for it to be included on the chart as, in fact, something else. Open to receive the greater good. This was the next item that high self said to add to this chart. They gave no other information regarding it. Okay. So the trouble with closing off our heart is that it may give us the illusion that we're safe, but it also blocks out new love. So the longer we practice this vibration, the harder it can be to manifest not only new love, but just change in our life too. Indeed, to open to receive the greater good even. Okay. Where to next, please, for clearing avoidant attachments? Are we guided to go to the inner archetype chart 8A? Yes. Okay. So what archetype is out of balance this time, please, in connection to avoidant attachment? We're getting the producer. That's very interesting. So this could indicate that those receiving this clearing may avoid relationships by work addiction or by overfunctioning. That's a common coping response. Should we just clear that one archetype? And I'm getting a yes. Okay, so let me set up the clearing and then I will define it for you officially. Again, clear through all levels, layers, depths of chart 3, all elevations, vibrations, all 7 or more realities from inception to present time and into the future. Clear the cellular level, the DNA, clan, and the ancestors. Clear for the soul group, extended soul group, monadic level. Again, all of our high self teams, committees. The producer is the urge to acquire and to produce, the aspect involving, yes, finances, net worth, and self-worth too. So there may be a correlation between self-worth and either monetary earnings, social status, one's level of career achievement. Now that can create self-fulfilling prophecies and vicious cycles in and of itself. And what I'm also picking up here, vis-a-vis, since this is a relationship clearing too, what the avoidant may be telling him or herself is that once I've made it, then it's time to settle down. But it's interesting how we can keep raising the bar higher and higher and never make it. And then sometimes for some of us on ascension journeys too, what happens is we go down a certain road and then we might reach a certain level of success. Maybe it's a moderate level, but then we start to get blocked. And sometimes that is an indication that what we've been doing for career is no longer in alignment with our soul purpose. And so we might need to make a career change. And especially if there's a discrepancy between creative input and output, between what we earn relative to our effort, then lifestyle changes may need to be made. Let's bring the inner producer up to the light. Let's cleanse it of dark energies. In fact, let me just get this is what I'm guided to do. I was going to go into transforming blockages there, but what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go on to chart 6A and get a little bit more. I'm going to research, in other words, what the inner producer is holding that is creating the pattern of avoidant attachment. And then I will release dark energies. So what is the inner producer holding, please? Outside. Okay, we're getting separation. We did clear that as a master earlier. So it produces, and when it produces to separate itself, to keep itself safe. Outside. We're getting restlessness. So, what's interesting with restlessness too is what this could also indicate is that this could indicate two things. I'm getting psychically. Either there's someone around the avoidant that's putting pressure on them, such as the anxious bonder, for example, or the bonding wound that some receiving this clearing have is more severe, such as fearful, avoidant, or disorganized attachment. Because with a disorganized attachment, sometimes the switch can flip between avoidant and anxious, and it can be, that one is more complicated. And usually the reason for it is just more trauma at a young age. Disorganized attachment can arise from inconsistent emotional support or abuse, where an attachment figure becomes both a source of fear and dependence. Okay, what else wants to be included here? Outside, we're getting guilt. Outside. Illness. Okay, it's starting to outpicture as an illness. Yeah. So, especially if the avoidant is avoiding the anxious through coping with work addiction, they may have a guilty conscience, but they may be doing it to excess, and it could be creating bad health or possible illness. Okay, that was a lot. Let me get all of that cleared out. All levels, layers, steps of chart 3, all elevations, vibrations, all 7 or more realities from inception to present time and into the future. And if body, memory impingements, emotional impingements are also relevant here, let's ask to clear the cellular level DNA, clan and the ancestors, clear for the soul group, extended soul group, monadic level, all of our high self teams, committees. And the reason I included body, memory impingements, emotional impingements is I was picking, since illness came up, I was picking up maybe on trauma that was stored in the body from toil and labor, like bad working conditions. That could also be ancestral, or let's clear that at the soul level. In fact, if it in fact has past life roots. Okay. And as we're doing this, let's ask to remove and bind anything demonic, satanic, luciferic, sources of all evil energies, attachments, entities, implants, cords, psychic hooks, psychic ties, soul fragments, binding agents, revoke permission. Kali, Estrella, Krishna, and beyond to escort these dark forces to their perfect place or to the light, please. Reclaiming any lost soul fragments. Reintegrating them now with the soul, levels, layers, bodies, minds, past, present, future, forward, and backward. Putting the inner producer back together again. Okay, let's go ahead and upgrade it by downloading 6B energies into it. So download these through all levels, layers, depths of chart 3, all elevations, vibrations, all 7 or more realities, from inception to present time and into the future, again for all listeners now and in the future. Lineages they're connected to: soul group, extended soul group, monadic level. Download and apply, please. All of their high self teams, committees as appropriate. And the energy is lifting here, which is what we like to see. Okay, so what have we downloaded into the inner producer now? We have inside caring, good. Outside hope, good. Outside consideration. Outside tolerance and trust. Yeah, I was gonna say that all of those felt like they were sorry, I'm tripping over my words. Maybe the avoidant bonder is feeling a little tongue-tied, and that's interesting because they often will have communication problems. So what I was getting on the caring, for example, and the consideration was that trust was being fostered, which is the lesson that the avoidant bonder is often learning, how to trust others. Inside forgiveness, that's also really important, yeah, especially in a relationship context. And what's also interesting about forgiveness is somewhere in Detzler's work, he does refer to SRT, and really all karma clearing we do is just advanced forgiveness work. Outside. And responsibility. Wonderful. When we accept emotional responsibility, we also reclaim our power. Okay, let's see. Where to next, please? Let's get the positive, negative number. How far are we in the process of this clearing, please? What is the positive now? It is at 80. And what is the negative? It's about 20. Okay, so what else? Can we clear on behalf of the avoidant bonder, please? Okay, learning is fun. Chart 27. Experience is the process by which we grow our soul, right? What else? And ascension is the purpose. Ooh, that's very interesting. Experience is the process, ascension is the purpose. Wow. Okay, let's clear both of those. All levels, layers, depths of chart 3, all elevations, vibrations, all 7 or more realities from inception to present time and into the future. Clear the cellular level, the DNA, clan, and the ancestors. Clear for the soul group, extended soul group, monadic level. All of our high self teams, committees. So when I studied Transforming Blockages with Jill and Remi, they are 2 twin flames who are in union, physical union, they spoke about in their teachings how many advanced souls decided to incarnate as an anxious or an avoidant bonder, often because we thought that secure attachment was too boring. Perhaps we'd already had too many prior abundant lifetimes, that there were just more lessons to learn to grow our soul with these attachment issues. I thought that was an interesting perspective, and it makes sense, because another way of conceptualizing that is the older the soul, the more trauma it will have, and it's substantially easier to be securely attached. Therefore, secure attachment is a lesson for a younger soul. Okay, so let's see what Detzler has to say about both of those. Chart 27, please. This experience is the process. This includes learning and gaining knowledge, wisdom, and understanding at all levels. And then ascension is the purpose. Educated souls return to spirit with full knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and create abilities so that they may take part in all that will be projected in the future. So we can also correlate incarnation, the incarnational journey, with experiences, the process. And what is the ultimate purpose of incarnation? Well, it is ascension. So even if our experience is avoidant, it's a valid experience. And ultimately, even if we're blocking out love, even if we aren't integrating our wholeness, it's still the experience we're choosing. And really, the more contrast we experience, the more likely it is for us to awaken. And there is also a correlation, too, between awakening and ascension. It's just that some of us take more time to do that. For some, ascension may be a multi-lifetime experience. And so you often hear people in spiritual communities talk about meeting a catalyst. And so that can occur where we get activated by someone, but we're not really wanting to change our life. So perhaps we were fated to meet them, but didn't feel ready when that occurred. Or we just like to take the scenic route, and that's okay. There's no judgment about that. And as I say that too, as we heal avoidant attachment, as we heal anxious attachment, we're letting go of the attachment to any outcome too, other than to our own healthy soul alignment, and really to self-love, which is ultimately our first love, unconditional love with spirit. Okay, is there anything else that wants to be included in this clearing? And I'm getting a yes. Okay, where to next? In fact, again, what is the positive, negative? Okay, 95 positive. The negative is 5. What else wants to be cleared? Programs not on charts. Can we include those in mop-up instead? Yeah. Okay, so we wanting to go to the actual checklist. That's funny because that was emphasized twice, the checklist. So now we're going to go to the actual checklist of Detzler's, which evolved into a full chart, chart 32, the very last SRT chart. Okay, so what do we want to clear here in connection to avoidant attachment? Balanced thoughts of the one universe. That's interesting. What else? Spiritual programs. Okay, so, I mean, when discordant energies come up, I do ask to clear them as masters and as soul programs, but there's a different type of program called a spiritual program too. So now we can define that. Is there anything else on this chart? Yes, electricity, very interesting. So someone at some point in their experience could have been struck by lightning. Wow. All right. I will define all three of those. The recording momentarily. Clear through all levels, layers, depths of chart 3, all elevations, vibrations, all 7 or more realities from inception to present time and into the future. Clear the cellular level, the DNA, clan, and the ancestors. Clear for the soul group, extended soul group, monadic level. All of our high self teams, committees, please. Okay, let's see. Now, checklist. I believe I have to go into the supplementary material to define some of those programs. Balance the thoughts of the one universe. Behind and preceding all ideas is thought. The thoughts involved contain within them every possibility of expression. Thus, the thoughts need to be cleared and balanced for a more perfect expression of a person's life. Right. So, I mean, we cleared the looping before and we had dysfunction of the mind came up before too. So, I mean, it's not to say that thinking is negative. We have to remember, however, that thought is a tool. We want to wield it constructively. And we want to know when to put it away, right? When we're not working on something that's creative, we want to be able to learn how to just shut it off so that we can get in our heart more and feel things, but also in our body more. Now, what came through before is there could have been some trauma on, I think it came up with the inner producer, body, memory impingements. Yeah, emotional impingements. That could indicate if there's trauma in the body, sometimes it's hard to stay in the body, and that restlessness came up before as well. Yeah. So that may make us want to pull up out of the body, like disassociate, or just stay in our head. So like recreate by thinking. We don't need to recreate by thinking. There's other forms of recreation like mindfulness, for example. And the other thing that's relevant here that's coming through is Abraham Hicks talks about learning to distinguish between the thinker of the thoughts and the receiver of the thoughts. So the receiver comes in from behind. The thinker, that's all frontal lobe processing. So the receiver, that comes from our higher self. So that's different. And the more the avoidant can just be in his or her heart and resolve those safety security issues, it does become easier to stay in their body and then, to not need to isolate to do that. It also allows them to be able to spend more time in a relationship context, especially a romantic one. Okay, so spiritual programs. Another area that seems to cause problems is referred to by spirit as spiritual programs. There may be a pain in the body, okay, that does not seem to have any outer cause. For example, you may not have stressed your body in any way that you can recall, yet you still have pain. When you ask high self if there is a program, cause, or reason for the pain, you receive a no response. You may then ask if it is mental, emotional, physical, and cause, and again, receive a no response. If this is the case, ask if it is a spiritual program, and a positive response is usually received. Asking for clearing results in freedom from the pain. The level of consciousness indicated on chart 3 is at number 1 above the chart. Again, it has to do with the extension of spirit
and the soul's desire to be at one with that process. You can ask that the soul release the desire and belief that it has to experience all that spirit extends in order to prove its obedience and worth in the eyes of spirit. Okay, that's also interesting because we had to clear spirit level blocks for the anxious bonder as well. This also reminds me of, I'm guided, that leads me into a healing by father, mother, grandfather energies. That seems to be related to the spiritual programs. So I'm going to define that as well for you here before I define electricity. At the head of every oversoul or soul family, there is a mother and a father. In the Holy Bible, they are called Adam and Eve. There are many descendants of the mother and father of an oversoul, and the family may consist of a few souls, hundreds, thousands, or beyond numbers, and into infinity. The grandfather is spirit, that which is the source of all that is. Sometimes a person may experience, again, pain in the body that seems to have no final solution. When cleared, it goes away for a time and then it returns. It may indicate that you need to ask for healing by the father or mother or grandfather or a combination of all three. Okay, so we're just asking to apply that modality as appropriate as well. And then the final program I'm defining as electricity, which we're also clearing simultaneously. A female client had a very serious neurodermatitis and light sensitivity. The reason given was statement number 9, group 1. Her etheric body was out of balance. She had been killed in 74 lives by lightning and had received electric shock treatments in 18 lives. Another factor that is sometimes involved is death in the electric chair. This also comes up when the person commits suicide by electrocution, which does not come up very often. Spirit says that being killed by lightning is chosen by spirit before incarnating, and it is a form of suicide. There is often self-punishment involved too. Check the people you have cleared for these items, especially where they have not seen positive changes. They probably have some of these statements to clear. Just ask High Self to clear.
Okay, so if there are any related self-punishment programs that come up vis-a-vis avoidant attachment, or for that matter, any past life suicide karma or spiritual suicide ideation even, that can be cleared without research, let's ask to clear.
All right, so we're going to move into a full wrap-up, mop-up on the topic of today's clearing, which was for avoidant attachments. And again, if you were to book a personal healing with me, I would go through this whole mop-up clearing integration statement checklist. Right now, I'm just going to douse on it. Working with the God team and its 200 plus charts on the other side of life. We're asking to clear anything we haven't known to clear here today as it concerns avoidant, also known as dismissive attachment style. Asking to clear 100% of all remaining programs on 100% of all remaining charts. Asking to clear anything not on charts. Clear Alpha to Omega, ensuring our records are clean, cleared, organized, brought up to date to reflect the full benefits of this particular clearing today. Making any necessary tweaks, adjustments, changes to our pre-birth plan. Activate our divine blueprint, bringing on board more of our soul's original gifts to help serve us on this next leg of the ascension journey, or for some it may still be an incarnational journey. Clearing away any accidents, injuries, lightning strikes we may have pre-programmed. Adjusting the death date to be in excess of 100 years, if that applies. Asking any ancestors who joined us today that they be returned to the spiritual realms from which they emerged. Thank you, ancestors. We ask you to send forth your blessings.
If there's any mind-body work that wants to be included in this clearing today, brain cell restructuring organs, glands, cells, tissues that wish to be treated, homotoxicology done, healing shapes, patterns from spiritual healing therapy. Let's just ask that all that be done automatically in consultation with healing committees, healing angels, angels of light to help assist. Direct healing processes, colors from chart 7. Let's ask to download and apply. If there's any further healing by father, grandfather, mother energies of the oversoul that wants to be included in mop up, or any other spiritual programs that want to be released, again, let's just ask that that be done automatically. Attune, calibrate to the level of vibrant health and well-being. Whatever the optimum level is for this group body, could be 200 courage, 350 willingness. 500 love would be excellent, since this is, after all, a relationship clearing. 600 peace. Good. Rebalancing now the totality of the multidimensional energy system. Our physical organs, glands, cells, tissues feel more energized. They feel more filled with light. They feel more healed. Durga Amora, please clear the sacrum, the root, the legs, ankles, the feet, the space between the feet, the space beneath the feet. Clear and activate the chakras at the soles of the feet now and ground down onto Earth Star Chakra, or it may be onto grounding cord with Mother Gaia and Archangel Sandalphon. Good. And as usual, we'll just end with one final healing tone for the root. We'll use UH. We'll take a deep breath, and on the exhale, if you'd like to tone with me, feel free to do so. Good. Thank you, thank you, thank you.